Good afternoon and welcome back to Mason Speaks. This is Mason, and today I'm with the host of the Steel Toe Morning Show, Aaron. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mason?
I am doing just fine. Thank you very much for asking. Aaron, now some of the people who are watching this, probably a lot of the people who are watching this, because a lot of my viewers come from where I am in England, and the time zones are a bit different. They probably haven't heard of the show before. But what you do is a online, almost like a radio talk show kind of deal, isn't it? Was that how you
Yeah.
describe it,
Yeah,
or
it's kind of a it's a little different. It's a radio talk show on video. We do visual stuff. It's based in comedy, but we talk about news. Basically, I think the whole show, the theme of it is we don't take anything seriously. And I think in the way things are now, there's a lot of room for comedy there because anytime you can make fun of a very serious person and you don't care what they say back, or you don't really care how sacred the topic is, or how seriously people take it. Like, I don't think there's anything funnier in this country, in the United States, than like making fun of a Donald Trump and then turning around and making fun of a Bernie Sanders or something, and watching people on either of those sides realize they just laughed at both of them. But meanwhile, they'll all tear at each other's throats over, who's a Nazi or who's a communist. And meanwhile, you just sit there and laugh. I love that part of the show. It's just, the only way we're going to get out of the times we're in our opinion, by refusing to take any of these people seriously.
I think that's a perfect way to sum up your guys' show. I know that in the past you were on the radio, and now you do it on Twitch solely, isn't it? You just
Yeah.
stream to Twitch. I guess that gives you a bit more freedom on what you can and can't say. There's sort of less restrictions on it.
Yeah, there's less restrictions. I mean, the only thing we've kind of had to be careful of is kind of like, if you have visual stuff you want to put on the show, you just got to make sure. I know the animal cruelty thing's a big deal. Some stuff that kind of lingers on violence, we kind of stay away from, or sexuality or stuff like that. Yeah, other than that, yeah, there's complete and total freedom. Actually, Twitch is very cool on speech. Twitch is very cool on language. There's a lot of people who claim that, they get censored for language. And then you find out what they said. It's like, well, no, I mean, you were dropping N-bombs on a private company's platform, and obviously they don't want to be associated with you if you do that. Twitch, as long as you're reasonable, I mean, they let a lot of stuff go, especially in humor. And especially if it's like one of your callers or an audience member saying something offensive, and you go, you kind of chastise them for it or whatever. Yeah, Twitch is very cool on speech. Some of the visual stuff they want to keep to a minimum. I know that a lot of people were upset that Twitch banned, what word did they ban recently? Simp. They banned simp. And the reason they banned simp is very, simple, because they have a lot of female gamers and a lot of female channels that generate a lot of revenue for Twitch, and they don't want to run them off the platform. So if there's a word that makes them uncomfortable and runs them off the platform, it's not that Twitch is trying to enact any kind of social justice mechanism to what they do. They just don't want these giant money makers leaving their platform. So I love the move to Twitch. I think it's great. I would recommend it to anybody.
I mean, like you say, I totally understand where you're coming from with the because with the word sim, it can totally depend on how someone takes it. I mean, someone can, perhaps a female Twitch streamer could take it very much as them being objectified on a live stream, and that's obviously not what they want to do. They just want to play games like the rest of everyone else does, and just stream it in enjoyable content for everyone. So that totally makes sense about why the sort of Twitch bosses would want to ban that word. And like you say, it's a big revenue thing for them. So if they're worried that they're going to lose out on revenue, then of course they're going to do something about it, aren't they?
Well, and that's a lot of the speech stuff in general. A lot of the speech stuff boils down to, at least here in America, it boils down to business. I mean, a lot of these businesses don't want to be associated with people who say wild shit, and that's fine, because those people can always go create a server and do a show. There's a guy I'm really interested in, Mike David, who does a show, Red Bar Radio, and he just built his own server. He does his own show. He does really funny stuff, and you can't be canceled for it if it's your own thing. Here, people always, reference 1984 when they talk about like speech policing and stuff like that. I think what we've got now is a lot more Animal Farm. If I could go to a different Orwell novel, it's not really the government doing it. Like, the United States government is pretty cool on speech. You can do, or you can say pretty much whatever you want as long as it doesn't turn violent. I mean, we've got like these crazy Antifa people in the streets yelling all kinds of burn it down stuff. And then the Proud Boys yelling God knows what they yell about. And as long as it doesn't turn violent, they're all allowed to do it. The thing where the speech limiting comes from is actually ourselves. We do it to each other. It's one of the few places where I think if the people were as cool as the government, we'd be okay. I don't say that very often, but on speech, at least here, that's kind of the case.
I like the way how you've referenced it to the George Orwell books. I mean, some of my viewers are sort of probably my age as well, and I'm 19, so they perhaps haven't read the book or know a synopsis of it. But effectively, 1984 is a bit like, I don't know if you've got a similar show in America, but in Britain we've got a show called Big Brother, where they've got all these cameras everywhere, and
no, we stole that from you. We had our
okay.
own. We stole that. Like everything else on American television, we stole it from you.
So effectively, it's like that. There's cameras everywhere, and the sort of the government controlling what you monitoring everything about your lives.
And if you say the wrong things, you go into places where they reprogram you basically, and all this other stuff. You get taken away and you disappear if you say stuff against the government or whatever. But in America, the government's the one place that you can say whatever you want about, and they're not going to do anything to you. But if you say, there's all kinds of these taboo topics that no matter what side you take, one side's going to want to get you fired, or they're going to, we've lost the ability to just go, oh, I'm not going to buy that guy's music, or I'm not going to watch that guy's movies, or I'm not going to buy pillows from that guy. Now we've gone to, well, he needs to be destroyed because I'm uncomfortable. It's like, first of all, there's nothing wrong with being uncomfortable. It's okay. You learn stuff when you're uncomfortable. And second of all, if it's really that bad, just ignore it, just ignore it. The My Pillow guy is not going to bring down Western civilization. So you can just decide you don't want the pillows, or you can use the promo code SteelToe at mypillow.com.
And I'll make sure there's a link for that in the description as well.
Yeah, sure. Right.
So my Pillow, that as far as I'm aware, the guy who's sort of the head of the company has been in some sort of controversy with the media. Is that about right?
Not even controversy. He just keeps screaming about the election that's been over for months, and we have a new president, and you like him, you don't like him. I think he's like, the last rating approval rating is like 50-50. I feel like in my lifetime that's been pretty much all presidents eventually. Half the people like him, half the people don't. Here in America, we're a wily bunch. It's hard to get us to all agree on anything. It's like 8 countries all melded and meshed into one. It's like the UK, we've got our Scots to the north, and we've got our proper English in the south, and the rest of it's Florida.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, from our point of view, I say I'm not a spokesperson for the for the UK as much as I wish I was. But from us, we're obviously much of a smaller country. We've got a much smaller population, and we still have the same 50-50 split. I mean, I don't know if you know much about sort of English politics, but obviously we had recently we left the European Union, which is like a big.
Right.
And they had the whole Brexit vote and debate, and that was pretty much 50-50. I think it was 51-49 or something like that in the vote. And we every country, every sort of society has a very definite split, apart from when it comes to sort of dictatorships and communist states and that kind of thing. It's a bit different, but
right. And your anti-Brexit people were kind of like our pro-Trump people. When they lost, they tried to reverse it at every turn or put it off and everything else. Like when Trump lost the election, it was, it had to be stolen. Meanwhile, 4 years ago, these are the same people laughing at Hillary Clinton when she said the Russians stole the election. So the pro-Trump people, we got to reverse the election. We got to give it time. And then it seemed like the anti-Brexit people, they wanted to put it to a vote because let's let the people decide on this because they'll show you. And then they got their asses kicked, and then they tried whatever they could do to not make it so. Now, is it done now? Is it over? Because you guys dragged your feet for a long time.
We are officially out of the European Union.
And how do people like it?
Personally, it hasn't made a single difference to me at all. I don't think anyone's talking about it anymore.
Yeah. You guys are all locked in your houses right now, aren't you?
Exactly. It doesn't matter. We can't go to Europe anyway, so it's no one's bothered about it.
You guys can't even go to McDonald's. It sounds like the way the media reports.
Unless we stay in our cars, we can do it in our cars, but we can't go in the shop and get it, which is one of those. So if you want to get a cheeseburger or something like that, you got to do it through the window. But
Yeah. What a weird thing like the corporations have done. Like you got two people who are separated by an ocean, but McDonald's is still it's a universal reference. Like everybody knows McDonald's. I don't
everyone
know.
knows McDonald's. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure I heard a fact not so long ago. It was something along the lines of in America, there's every 150 miles there is a McDonald's. You're never more than 150 miles away from a McDonald's in America.
Oh, I was going to say on average, it's probably even closer than that. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're never 150 miles away from it. Yeah. And if there's no McDonald's in that 150 miles, there's a couple Subways. So
Or maybe a Chick-fil-A or something.
a Chick-fil-A, a Popeyes. Yeah, we've got all of them, which is all kinds of. And you wonder why we're one of the fattest countries in the world. Got all this greasy, disgusting food that you can throw down your hatch for $3.
And it's so easy to get to. As we all know.
Who wants to wait? Yeah. Well, yeah. And now with all this stuff going on, it's the only places you can go to.
Yeah, totally. I mean, for us, it's we can still get access to it, which is good for for the bellies, for the for the mind, for everything. It keeps you going. This food does, but it's a bit of a weird one. And anyway,
now, do you guys have DoorDash there?
DoorDash.
Is it a food delivery service? Well, do you have a food delivery service like an app?
Yeah. So we got a few of those, but not DoorDash especially.
Okay,
no.
so we have DoorDash here, and recently DoorDash. This is like this is the low point of the pandemic for me, is that I haven't done it yet, but I've seriously given thought. They'll go to convenience stores. They'll go to gas station convenience stores, and they'll bring you like sodas, snack foods, and like those shitty gas station cheeseburgers that you heat up in the microwave. Like they'll deliver those to your house for you from the gas station because of the pandemic. It's the worst thing I've ever. That might be like worse than the deaths or worse than the hospitalizations. The fact that people might be ordering gas station food and having it delivered to their house might be the biggest casualty of COVID-19.
I can see where you're coming from on that. Definitely, it's a weird situation to think that now, after coming so far as a humanity, we gained the ability to walk, and now we're deciding that, well, the government are deciding that we can't even do that anymore. They've got to.
Yeah, we're having M&Ms delivered to our door with a Dr. Pepper. It's weird. It's odd. I don't like it.
I ordered
McDonald's. I think I ordered Arby's. I ordered roast beef sandwiches from a fast food place called Arby's. And they brought it to the door. And I didn't feel good about it. Like I just felt bad about ordering fast food and having it brought to my door. Like I was too lazy to put on sweatpants and go drive a couple miles and wait for 5 minutes. I just had some poor guy bring it to me. I don't know.
Well, I think that's one of the things, what you mentioned about putting the sweatpants on, or in England, as we call them, tracksuits, is what we call them. But, is no one judges you at a fast food restaurant, which is nice. You can go there in a dressing gown or pajamas or whatever you want to call it.
That's Walmart here. If you go to Walmart here, you get away with murder in terms of clothing.
Anyway, but back to your show and what it's all about. You did initially start on the radio, is that right?
Yeah, we started. Well, I mean, I started doing radio when I was 19 in a small town of Litchfield, Minnesota. It has about 5,000 people in it, and I did that for 7 years, and then I got a morning show job in Wilmer, Minnesota. I started out doing a talk show, and I still do a talk show. You don't usually get to start out in radio doing a talk show. They have you playing music and, hi, everybody, how's it going? The next 5, listeners will get American radio is terrible. But I then got a morning show at still a small town. It was like 15,000 people, but a little bit bigger town, but it was a music station in Wilmer, Minnesota. And I hated it and they hated me. I was always kind of like, our humor's been a little bit edgier because, again, when you don't take things seriously, you don't hold anything sacred, you make fun of anything. But I toned it down because I was at a more family-friendly station. I made a joke, and this is probably 7 years ago. I made a joke about Justin Bieber, and I would never even talk about Justin Bieber if I had my way, but I was on this station, so I decided to do it. And it was a pretty tame joke. I don't even remember what it was. 5 minutes after the show is over, the program director and the owner of the station come bolting through the door. You cannot be making jokes about Justin Bieber. Some of our listeners might be Justin Bieber fans, and they might not want to listen. That was my first day on that station. So I struggled through for another 3 weeks until finally I went into the boss's office to sit down and quit. And let's just say he wasn't heartbroken over it. Neither of us wanted me there. So then I found this station, Rockin' 101 in St. Cloud, Minnesota, which is a much bigger area. About the market size is about 250,000, which is medium, not big, but medium size. And we never had billboards. We never did advertising. The station never spent a dime on us, but we shot to #1 in the ratings. It just took off and we started to do huge numbers. And when you start doing bigger numbers and more people are listening and you do the kind of humor we do, you get a target on your back. And so a few months ago, back in November, we made fun of an Iowa radio station because we applied to get our show syndicated there, to be on in that market as well as St. Cloud. And we were frustrated that the company wasn't syndicating us because we weren't going to grow anymore in St. Cloud. We reached the apex. And so when we didn't get called back for that job, they never even called us to say no. We decided we would go on, listen to what show they picked, and make fun of it. We would go and tear it apart. And we started doing that. And the people at that station or that broadcasting company cut out 6 minutes of audio from us making fun of the man and woman that were on that station. They cut out 6 minutes of us making jokes about the female that was on there. And if you listen to the 6 minutes, it sounds like we are rageaholic monsters just tearing this woman apart and saying all kinds of terrible things. Meanwhile, you listen to the actual unedited show audio and we're laughing afterwards. We're going, this is so stupid. We're being so dumb. Well, some lady who works for that company put it on her TikTok and made it this whole, bigotry against women and misogyny in radio, and this guy needs to go down. So then the phone calls and the emails start happening just from all over the country. And they put me on suspension for a weekend. And by the end of that day, I was talking to the station and I was talking to my I don't know what I call my co-hosts on the show. And I said, guys, we might have to take this thing. We were already on Twitch, and I had already bought the trademark to the Steel Toe Morning Show. I owned our show, and we had a Twitch channel that I was in possession of and a Facebook page and Twitter page that I was in possession of. And I said, we might have to take this digital and just see if it'll work. Otherwise, we got to go get sales jobs or something. So the station comes back to us and says, we'll bring you back, but you got to give us control of your Twitch page. You got to give us control of your Facebook page. And they didn't know that I owned the trademark to the show, so they didn't even bother with that. And that's when we had to decide, no, we're not going to do that, because this basically what could happen is they could take those 2 pages, delete them, wipe out our access to our audience, and then fire us anyway. So we said, nope, we're going to go to Twitch. And almost immediately, it started being a profitable thing. The audience showed up. They were awesome. We got an interview with a famous broadcaster here in the United States named Bubba the Love Sponge. His audience started coming over, and the last 3 months, it's been growing like crazy on Twitch, and it's been the most fun I've ever had in broadcasting.
So what initially started out to be something that perhaps didn't look as great as it could have been, it's been a blessing, if you like. You know, it's taken you further than you could have hoped for.
Yeah, and that's how all of those things happen. You know, all of the things that end up being really great are born out of like sheer terror. You know, it's a desperation move that pays off. You know, we had this big audience. We were able to contact them and say, this is where we're going. They were able to tell other people. And now you're talking about, you know, I mean, when we were on the radio, our CUM, what they call it, our cumulative total of individual listeners, was at like 13,000. And now every month on Twitch, our unique viewers are over 17,000 at this point. So we've grown bigger than what the radio was. It's nice. You know, on the radio, we were the big show in the market. We couldn't go anywhere. We were done growing. And now on Twitch, we're a little guy, you know? I mean, we're making great money. We've got great support, but we're a little guy, and you can only grow from there. And as a show that started as the little guy in the St. Cloud market, and we loved climbing up the ladder and every ratings period getting higher and higher and topping these other stations, we play better from behind, I think. And right now we're behind again. We're the low man on the Twitch totem pole. And the nice thing is there's no broadcast range. Anybody can tune in and listen at any time. It's still growing, and we really like it. So it's been a lot of fun. And like I said, any broadcaster listening to this, anyone who's on the radio, your industry is dying a slow and brutal death. There are way too many options, and your industry isn't changing to fix it. Gather your audience, own your brand, get your own visual platforms, streaming platforms, And eventually, when your audience gets big enough, leave radio and take it on the road, because there's a lot more potential there, for sure.
I mean, radio's done as well whilst it's been here, but I think you're right in what you say. It's coming to an end now. I mean, we can thank it, we can salute it, give it its best, but I think you're right when you say it's coming to a slow and very painful for the radio station's death, because it's everything as you know is going digital now. It's you can as we were saying with the food, you can get food in your door in 10 minutes with a click on your phone. Yeah. So
I mean, isn't it funny when you hear radio? I don't know if they do it in the UK, but in the United States, our radio stations will still do weather reports, and they'll like advertise it and highlight it. They go, "We got the weather coming up next." It's like, bitch, I got a phone. Like it's on my home screen. I know what the weather is. You don't have to tell me. But it's one of those things they refuse to change. I don't know what it's like over there. I know that I've laughed at UK radio, and they've had more interesting programs than the United States has. In the US, it's either political talk or they're playing music, and it's all just boring to listen to. I know in the UK, when I've checked up on your radio, there was you're 19, right?
I'm 19, yeah.
So about 10 years ago, Russell Brand and Jonathan Ross got in a lot of trouble because they called that actor from Fawlty Towers, and they started talking about his granddaughter or something like that. And it was an edgy bit, and I think Russell Brand got fired from the radio, and John Ross got suspended for it. But it was like edgy stuff that we couldn't get in America anymore. And you guys have, I know that for years you guys had a movie reviewer on there who I found interesting, that I found out the UK hates, apparently. Mark Kermode.
Oh, I've not heard of him.
Oh,
heard of him.
Okay,
Probably,
well, he had
probably been censored.
Okay. He had a BBC show a long time ago, a BBC radio show, where he would talk movies. And there were like viral clips of him just arguing with actors inside his studio. Like he had Kevin Spacey on, and he and Kevin Spacey are literally, like, he's talking shit to Kevin Spacey's face, and they're arguing about it. And I'm like, I can't get this on American radio anymore. So I don't know if radio's kind of in rough shape over there like it is here, but it's just, I think it's a good training ground for young talent, for people to learn the basics of broadcasting. I don't think there's a big future in it for most people.
I'd agree with that. With what you say about what it used to be like, I think in a lot of respects, it's probably not what it used to be. You don't get your sort of as your Russell Brand. You wouldn't find someone like Russell Brand on the radio now, not on the mainstream. Okay. We've got them just sort of BBC. They've got about 5 or 6 different stations on the radio at least. And then they've got extra ones coming off, like, you got BBC 5 Extra, and all this stuff, okay. Which they dominate the radio. There's a few other stations around, but they're mainly just music ones. But people like Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand, you wouldn't get those kind of people on the radio anymore, because it's too, I don't want to say dull, because it's not dull, but it's not edgy anymore. Like you say, it's very much, it's come down. It's more of a family friendly thing. Anyone can listen to it. Anyone can be a part of it. You couldn't have Piers Morgan on the radio. He's on.
It's proper British, right?
Yeah. It's polite. It's polite. We're queuing to get to the radio station is effectively what we're doing.
I live in Minnesota in the United States here. I live in the state of Minnesota, and the state of Minnesota reminds me a lot of the UK in a way, like that attitude of everyone seems really nice and proper, but there's like passive aggressive hatred bubbling right beneath that. Like in Minnesota, we all like to present ourselves as nice, polite, BBC presenter types, but in real life we're Piers Morgan. So it's kind of a similar vibe we have going in the state I live.
Now, as you mentioned about Piers Morgan, obviously he's on television, but he effectively does a radio show on television. He does the I think it's called This Morning, so it's a talk show. It's pretty similar to like a morning show. I think he does it from.
Yeah, we have a show called Good Morning America here. That's the same thing. It's the same thing as well.
Yeah, and Piers Morgan. He used to be on a show in America on CNN as well, and he's always done the same thing. He gets people on and he just rips into them, and he asks them questions that no one else would ask him. I mean, recently he's had. I think he had the education secretary on the show, a politician whose decision it was, or helped in the decision to close the schools during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
And he was effectively saying to him, "You have failed us. Why haven't you resigned yet?" And he just said that straight to him, live on telly. No qualms about it. He wasn't bothered.
And that's not a very proper British thing to do, right? Like that's considered like kind of taboo to do that.
Yeah, but Piers Morgan does it anyway because he
Right.
that's just
Piers
what
does
he
it anyway.
does.
I'm very hot and cold with Piers Morgan. Like I really love him for stuff like that. And then sometimes the guy he almost comes off as like an old man who doesn't get things. And so there's that part of Piers Morgan where you're like, Piers, shut up. But then there's other parts of him where you go, oh, he's just stirring shit. I love this. This is great. I'm very hot and cold with Piers. He had an interview with Alex Jones, who's like a conspiracy theory guy here in America. And he had an argument about guns with Alex Jones. And you know us in America here, we're crazy about our guns. And Alex Jones just started ranting and screaming at Piers Morgan and would not let him talk. It's one of the funniest pieces of television ever. He was basically threatening a second Revolutionary War with Piers Morgan over guns. You can find it on YouTube. Just go Piers Morgan, Alex Jones. It's a hilarious watch. He just loses. It's the only time I've ever seen Piers Morgan quiet.
Well, I mean, he had a similar interaction with Ben Shapiro about the Second Amendment. With the have you seen that? Have you seen that where Shapiro brings in a copy of the Constitution onto his show, gives it to him, and all that, and he's playing. I don't get me wrong, I quite like Ben Shapiro, and I think those two head to head was a Jake Paul versus KSI kind of thing. That was, but
I like what I like about that is Piers Morgan kind of played right into Ben Shapiro's kind of red, white, and blue America play with the Constitution. He goes, you can take back your little book. And Ben Shapiro's like, that's not a little book. That's the Constitution. And he's being purposely a smug dick about it because he knows that Piers Morgan just threw the Constitution at him on American television and that would rile people up. And he is, I don't know. I love that kind of TV theater where I can't take anybody on it seriously because I know they're both doing a thing, but it's fun to watch.
It is fun to watch. It's fun to have your opinion, give it out there, and just let it rip. Just, let's see what happens. Let's see how far we can take this thing. And that is one thing that I really like about your show is you're not afraid to say things that you know are a bit controversial. You just say them anyway because that's how you feel, or that's what you want to talk about.
Right, because we're probably wrong, just like everybody else. Like you watch everybody on TV, like COVID-19, war, whatever it is. You're watching these people go on TV who have no more credibility than you do, and you're just like, well, we're all wrong. Like none of us are right about this. Like COVID, it's a new disease. We don't know none of us know anything. I know in America here, we got 50 states. Some of them are completely locked down like the UK is, and some of them are wide open, no masks, no anything. And the case loads are always the same. They go up at the same time. They go down at the same time. Nobody knows why. Nobody can figure it out. And by the time we do figure it out, everyone's going to be vaccinated and we'll just be studying this damn thing for the next 10 years without knowing what the hell really happened.
Yeah, like it's futile. It's futile what people are trying to do. It's they're putting so much effort into working out why it's happening when the fact is it's not about why it's happening. It's about how can we stop it? How can we save people?
Yeah.
And how can we move on from it rather than it's because people are using it as a political platform, which it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It's
fun to watch. It's fun to watch topics become political and they're medicinal. It's funny to watch these politicians and these policymakers who all want to control the world. It's so wonderful to watch them be helpless in the face of nature. Like they're all trying to harness nature. What they don't realize is this virus isn't listening to your debates. It's not listening to whether or not this person wants masks or that person wants masks or this person wants a vaccine or this. It's just doing its thing. It's doing it's living and it's thriving and it's doing what these things naturally do. And meanwhile, we sit here fighting each other over it as if any of us have any say in what it's going to do or any control over the outcome. I love watching humanity be completely helpless in the face of nature, but watch some of them insist that they have it under control. It's so funny to watch.
I totally
Meanwhile,
agree.
you and I have to stay inside and go through the drive-through.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
we have to laugh.
We exactly. If you don't laugh, then you'll end up crying, and I don't want to do that on broadcast that out there.
I just want to go to an American football game. That's all I want to do.
Honestly, I can't wait. I can't wait for the artificial crowd noise. I don't know if they have it with your. Have you got that in like perhaps the NFL or something? They got the artificial crowd noise.
It's bad. They never do it right, and
it's a load of rubbish, isn't it? It's absolutely.
I'd rather just listen to what the players are saying, especially in the NBA. Oh my God, they're dropping the F-bomb every 5 seconds. Just let me watch that.
We spoke a lot about the show. We spoke a lot about what's going on at the moment in the world. What about you? Let's speak about you for a second. You know, you're this guy who's made something for himself with the help of the people around you. What influenced you to do this? What made you want to be a broadcaster?
A few different people. Number one was a comedian by the name George Carlin. It's so weird for me to use like names that are accepted in America because I don't know how widely known they are in the UK. But George Carlin, who's a legendary comedian here. I would say Howard Stern, a radio guy here in America, huge influence. And I mean, those would kind of be the two big ones. And then there's a local radio guy here in Minnesota named Tom Bernard. And those are the people that I grew up listening to. I'd watch every one of Carlin's specials in the 90s. I'd listen to Howard Stern whenever my parents weren't paying attention or my dad was watching him. He had they simulcast his radio show on TV. He'd watch Howard Stern. I'd stay up late and try to sneak watch it. And I wanted to be on the radio. There was a magic about broadcasting and connecting with people and entertaining them and pulling laughs out of them. And, you know, I've eventually gotten to stand-up comedy as well. And I still do that. And it's fun. It's a great way to make a living. And if you're any good at it and you work at it, it's the most fun, enjoyable way to make a living because you just feel like you're playing all day. It's the greatest feeling.
Now, on the show, you've got a few different co-hosts you do it with. One of them is April. And that's your partner, is that right? Or your girlfriend or
Yes. That's my partner, girlfriend, mate, whatever. I don't know what terminology we'd use. But yeah, and she's never done broadcasting before she did this. So it's kind of fun that I get to mold and shape a broadcaster. And I get my dad coined this term. I get to be Dr. Frankenstein and I get to create a monster. I think it's wonderful.
Do you find it hard when you're broadcasting with her? And I mean, I've seen the comments on there. Lots of people are always talking about April and these ludicrous things that they say about her. Is it hard to deal with, or is it just part of
No, man, I've been broadcasting for so long. I think in December it'll be 15 years. I'm numb to it. I don't, every comment, whether it's good, bad, you know, you suck, you're the greatest. All I look at is, can I squeeze material out of it? I mean, that's pretty much it. And now I get to teach her the same thing. Like you guys, I know people go nuts over social media, but you're never going to feel the freedom you'll feel until you feel the freedom of not giving a shit what a comment section says. It's the greatest, like to watch people say things and not pretend, because a lot of people pretend comments don't bother them, but to literally read something and just go, like someone telling you suck and you're the worst thing ever. You go, that guy doesn't seem to be a fan. You know, that's the best feeling in the world.
No, I mean, it does sound freeing. It sounds like a place you can be where if you genuinely don't care about what anyone else has to say, then you can live your life however you want to live it.
Right. And you also wreck the day of the person who doesn't like you because all they really wanted was the response. All they wanted was your interaction. They wanted you to come back. And if you just go, oh, wow, this guy must really not be a fan. Meanwhile, these people who write this stuff about you are all listening. So you're the worst person in the world. You suck. You're terrible. But they're tuning in. To me, that's all the thank you I need. You can tell me I suck. You can tell me I'm the worst thing ever. But if I have your eyeball, if you tell me I'm the greatest, and I'd rather have you tell me I'm amazing, or I'd rather have you tell me I suck and you're watching than tell me I'm amazing, but you're not watching. I just want your eyeballs. That's it. I'm like the Emotep in The Mummy. I just want your eyes and your ears. That's it.
That sounds great. With the radio show, you're obviously and it being on Twitch now, you've got a whole new room to grow. What are you expecting it to grow into? What are you hoping it will grow into?
That's hard because we've been on for 3 months. And when we started, we had anywhere from 900 to 1,100 subs a month. And now we're pushing 6,000. We didn't expect to be at this level until quite late into this year. And with every new subscriber that gets gifted a sub, they come out of nowhere and go, what the hell is this? And if, 5 to 10% of those new people stick around, your audience has gotten bigger. So, I mean, where do I want to be? I mean, there was a point where you would have said you could have 10,000 subscribers in a month. And I would have said, no, it'll never happen. And now we're most of the way there. We're closer to 10,000 than we are to 0. So where do we want to be? I don't know. The business is making money. We're profitable. We've got a great fan base. We're doing sold out comedy shows here in central Minnesota. I guess I'm happy with where it is, and I want to see where it takes us. As far as all-time goals, I guess the next mountaintop, I guess, would be 10,000 subscribers, I suppose, in a month. But it's all going great right now. If we maintain this audience forever, I'm happy. But if it continues to grow, I mean, again, 5,000 new subs in the last 3 months. Who knows where it could go? I hope it keeps catching on, and I hope radio dies a vicious, disgusting death, and I can watch the burning of radio safe from the shore of digital broadcasting.
What a lovely thought to have. Watching
Absolutely.
it sink under it, and they can't do anything about it.
Watching all the captains. Yeah, well, radio is not a business where the captains are going down with the ship. They'll flee like rats when it's going down. They're all big corporations and hedge fund managers and stuff. They'll pull all their money out, leave it dry, and then escape on a rowboat while the DJs have to burn to death. So there will be casualties, but it's fun. Because when I was in radio, I had to defend it. Obviously, you kind of got to lie to yourself and be like, it's going to be okay. We'll just all become part of what this digital thing is, and it'll be cool. And once you get out, you can go, you have this weight lifted off your shoulder where you don't have to run PR for the industry anymore and go, yeah, this shit's dying. And it's, it's time to find something different.
Yeah, no, totally. The question is now, where do people send their resume to get a job on the Steel Toe Morning Show? That's where it's going to go now. You're going to want people joining, aren't you? People are going to want to be joining, sorry.
One thing I've wanted to do is I've wanted to have somebody take our Thursday nights and Friday night. We don't have anything on Thursday night or Friday night on our channel. So twitch.tv/Steel Toe Show. We have Monday through Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. Central Time in America, which, okay, where you are, you got people listening in the UK, 6 a.m. there. Like it's 11 a.m. here. So 5 hours. Yeah, what is it, about noon?
So yeah, it's 12 noon is when your morning show starts in the UK.
Okay. 12 noon to p.m. would be when our show is Monday through Friday. Now, the evening shows are 7 to 9 p.m. here. So now we're talking about like midnight or 1 in the morning.
Yeah, 1 a.m. till 3 a.m. in the morning.
Right. So we do that. We do that Sunday through Monday. And my only thing is we don't have anything Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, which is great for me. I mean, we're already working, how many shows a week, but I would love to have somebody on Thursday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights. Basically what we're looking for is, so we have an audience of 17,000 and then 6,000 subscribers and 7,000 followers, whatever. Basically, if there was somebody out there who had something that they were really good, but say they're only doing like 500-600 subscribers and they want to get exposure to a different audience, and we watch their show and like, oh, these guys are really great, but you gotta, growing takes a long time, especially when you're at that 500-600 mark. You can grow. Don't give up on it, and you're making a decent little bit of side money there. But if they could get a shot in the arm and they're really good and they just need a bigger audience, we would love to have somebody on Thursday night or Friday night. And I'd like to diversify. Like right now we do comedy shows. We talk about the news and all that stuff. I'd love to have a sports show or an MMA show. I'd love to have a gamer or something on the platform. I'd love all that stuff. Anything that grows the channel and grows use the word brand, I guess. I'm in. So yeah, you talk about resumes, half joking. If anybody's got a channel that they think is really good, you send it to me and we'll see if maybe we can't work together. Because now it's weird to actually have a platform where you can benefit other people. Like I said, in terms of Twitch, it's not the biggest, but it's big enough to give somebody a boost. And I really enjoy that part of it too. You know what? Honestly, sorry to interrupt. That's my favorite thing about Twitch. On radio, everyone tries to tear each other's throat out. Now I'm going to kick this guy's ass, and I'm going to kick this guy's ass. On Twitch, everybody's super supportive of everybody's channel. There's enough room for everybody. That's my favorite part of the whole platform.
That's great. I'm not doing anything 1 a.m. to 3. I'll send you a CV ASAP.
Yeah, why not? Go ahead.
Aaron, I think this is a really nice note to leave it. I always try and to leave it on a happy note at the end of the show. I think this is a perfect way to leave it. We all know from what you said, from how we spoke, things are going great, and things are only going to get better for you as well, I think. And I'm just glad that I had the chance to speak to you about it before you shoot to the moon as GME did not so long ago.
Yeah, we'll be hopefully we'll be GME without the Robin Hood. That would be nice. Yeah, fingers crossed on that for sure. And by the way, I want to say as a connoisseur, as an amateur connoisseur of some things, UK pop culture, there was something we played on our show quite a bit recently. It's one of the more popular songs you guys had about a month or so ago. I don't know if you're familiar. That song about your prime minister. It was called Boris Johnson is an effing C. You never heard that song?
I gotta be honest, I haven't heard that one. No.
It was #1 in the UK charts. We found it in a news story and we listened to it. Oh, if you guys haven't heard it, it's worth a listen. I don't have an opinion on Boris Johnson one way or the other. I don't know how any of you guys over there feel about it, but the song itself, this is what I talk about not taking anything too seriously. Like if you get too into a politician, you can't laugh at something objectively funny. This song by the band, here in America, by the way, that C-bomb is like one of the worst curse words in America. I like how you guys use it over there.
You call your best friend that. I won't say it now, but right. you call your best friend that. You call anyone you want to show appreciation to. That's what you do.
Right. And we, in my circle of people, we've very much adopted the more British use of the word in that word. But in greater society, yeah, they're terrified of it. But it's such a perfect word for someone who's being a silly goose.
Yeah. It is.
What are you doing there, you cunt? And it's like, it's fun. It's a term of endearment.
It is. It is most certainly a term of endearment. That's the only time.
Especially if your wife is misbehaving. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that maybe takes it a bit past the line of silly goose, but
yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll get fired again. I don't know.
But to give you a bit of insight about Boris Johnson, in terms of who he is as a person, the first time I remember him was when he was the mayor of London. And he did some speech about the Olympics, and he said he was going to rub the stadium with rhubarb leaves. Not a clue. He was on.
Wait a minute. I don't. That's not an insult here. Is that a good or a bad thing?
It's a Boris Johnson thing. It's no one's heard that before. He just no idea. He's been on a show called Have I Got News for You? He was the host on that, which was a comedy news panel show. He's been on a show called. Have you seen or heard of Top Gear? Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like
we stole a shittier version of that here too.
He was a guest on Top Gear as well. He's a. There's no other way. He's Boris Johnson. That's the only way to describe him.
He's your guys' Trump, kind of.
They don't look too dissimilar as well. They both got blonde, fluffy hair.
They're both kind of entertainers and came outside of politics and got voted in. They just. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how people feel about Johnson or Trump or anything else. Guys like that every once in a while come in and throwing a brick through the window. I have a soft spot for stuff like that. And then to watch them. The only thing is, those guys who throw a brick through the window, there's a professional wrestler here in the United States named Jesse Ventura, and he became governor here in Minnesota. And it was the biggest shocking thing. He was a third-party guy. We have two main parties in America. He was a third-party guy. They get no attention. He becomes governor. And like Trump and Johnson and Jesse Ventura, they come in, they throw the rock through the window, and everyone goes, oh, my God, this is great. They're going to shake it up. But then none of them know what to do after that. So you just watch them stumble and fumble and act like assholes for like 4 years. And you're like, okay, I like the rock through the window thing. You clearly didn't have a plan after that. That was about it.
I think for some, it's a bit of a publicity stunt. Some have a plan behind it, but I know what you're saying on that matter.
You got to have a plan for your publicity stunt in case it works, though, because like Donald Trump and Boris Johnson, like, what would be hilarious if I ran for president? But then they all go, yeah, but what if you win? And they're like, I ain't going to win. Don't worry about it. Then they win and they go, oh shit, I got to think of something.
Yeah, 100%. No, I couldn't agree with you more on that. I couldn't agree with you more. Aaron, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm going to leave a link in the description on this video to your Twitch channel. And then if anyone decides that they want to go and give it a watch, it in the UK, like I said, it starts at 12 noon and finishes at 4. And then if you're up in the evening show starts at 1 a.m. and finishes at 3 p.m.
Yeah, and it's better if you drink on the 1 a.m. show. So.
It's better if you got some alcoholic beverages there with you just to keep you company.
We're funnier that way. We really are.
Brilliant. Aaron, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for being
sir.
on the show.
Thanks for having me.